Welcome to Search Talk Live with search engine optimization and marketing experts Robert O'Haver and Caleb McKelvin, powered by the Robert Palmer family of companies.
Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Search Talk Live. My name is Robert O'Haver and with me is my
Cohort, that works.
Co-host, sorry.
That's cool.
Caleb McKelvin.
How's it going, Robert?
Good, man.
I'm so excited to be here this week. Another awesome show of Search Talk Live. We've had an awesome 2016 so far with some great guests, and today we are stepping it up a notch.
Yes, we are. Those of you just tuning in to Search Talk Live, it's your first time listening. We have a show every Tuesday at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time to 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, and You can actually call into the show with questions or if you have a question for our guest or one of us, you can call in. The number's 855-722-0006.
Option one.
Yeah, option one. Again, that's 855-722-0006. Let's get on with the show. My special guest today is, I would say, one of the first people in the whole industry of SEO, and in fact, he coined the phrase SEO.
Yeah.
And with us today is Bruce Clay. Bruce.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
Good, man.
Doing good. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time today, Bruce. I know our listeners are very excited, as are we, and we're ready to get the show going.
Yeah, so you want to talk about millennial influences on web design and making SEO harder, right?
Right, that's part of it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a big fan of the future of SEO. Yes. I like to know what's happening before it happens, because then I could get there before everybody else. So
right.
I've been paying a lot of attention. Obviously, I think everybody's probably read more than enough articles about the concept of millennials, and they're trying to figure out if things are really going to change or not change, or how to do things. And I think that one of the things we're finding is that Google is also adapting to, that's where the search is kind of going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and I want to make sure everybody understands, if you pay attention, there's a whole lot of people that are older than millennials on the planet that buy things.
Yeah.
And if I am any indication of that, I certainly do. I've been accused of being an Amazon addict. So I buy things all the time online, and so do a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the concept of millennials is, in fact, a concept. I mean, I don't know that it's actually a practice yet to say, hey, we have a separate marketing program for millennials.
Yeah.
I just think people have to be aware they're out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there has to be a different approach with them. I mean, don't you think so? Because I mean, they expect different things. They read things differently. They kind of interpret things differently. So you almost have to have a different approach.
Right now, well, yes, absolutely. I think millennials, of course, the big difference is millennials don't have a recognition of brand.
Yeah.
Because we do. I mean, I certainly recognize brands, but I grew up on television where you would see commercials and, AM radio and FM radio and things like that where there were commercials. And millennials don't do that. They listen to their music. They use a phone instead of a desktop computer. They don't really watch television, and they don't want to be sold to. They want to be educated. And that entire concept is different from a traditional marketing program.
Right.
So, I mean, as a online marketer, digital marketer, kind of marketing in general, kind of what obstacles do you think that's gonna present when you try to take this approach and realize that, they have a totally different understanding and they want something different? What kind of obstacles are we going to see, or what adjustments are we going to need to make?
Well, I think the very first is that our websites have to be more entertaining, more engaging.
Yeah.
There's an awful lot of websites that are there to educate. And if they want education, those sites are perfect. But if they're looking for information on how to do something, they're not interested in going to a website. They want to go to videos.
Yep.
I know for myself that I've had many occasions where I needed how-to information, and I'm finding that I am switching to videos from websites. And that, I think, is the way millennials have learned to do it.
Yeah.
The only thing keeping other people from doing it all the time is they just didn't experience doing it. Now, I'm a big believer in, clearly learning as you go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm absolutely thrilled that I could ask my phone a question. It will answer the question.
Yeah.
Last night, I was sitting there and my wife and I were speaking, and I said, well, what about this? And what she did is she opened up her notebook computer, and I said, well, just talk to your phone. And, oh, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah. Right.
And you ask the question, and the phone will answer it, and it works.
Right.
So millennials know that, but a lot of other people don't.
Right.
I mean, that's completely almost kind of going to change search because, I mean, especially local, if I don't pull up and type in where's the best restaurant, I speak to my phone, Siri or whatever kind of voice recognition. I mean, that's pretty much all we use when we're searching something either locally or asking a question or wanting to find something to learn information. We're using that resource. So, I mean, I know we all say mobile's kind of going to take over, which, I mean, it seems to be on a lot of standpoints. But, I mean, nobody's really typing anything in right now. It's all, Siri, help me find this, or what's the Google one, whatever it may be. But it's all voice recognition.
Yeah, Bruce,
Right.
And I agree with you. I mean, it's kind of like I would say the future is going to be like an instant answer type of thing. Where,
Yeah.
People don't want to do the research. Like you said, they go to video. They get that instant gratification of knowing or learning what they're trying to find out.
I've done a couple of different things. Like, how bad is it to replace an ice maker in your refrigerator that won't make ice? And they have videos on it.
Mm-hmm.
Or I have a printer at home that for one reason I get this funky error message. So I queried for the error message, and it says, you have a sensor right here that is sticking, put a piece of tape over it. Well, come on, that was easy.
Right.
And it showed you how to do it, and it just worked. And, I wasn't going to get the description quite as clearly from a website if they didn't have images, and a video was certainly better.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the things that's unique about this is millennials grew up on computers and on phones, really.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the millennials today have had phones for 5 years and maybe longer, and they've been using them all the time for their computer.
Yeah.
They get to take it with them. And, many cases, what you can do on a computer, they can do on a phone, or at least sufficient for a majority of the work. So they do that. They'll do queries, and they won't care about the form factor because that's the one they're used to. One of the things, I always found this fascinating, so I'll just throw it out there.
Mm-hmm.
The way I ring a doorbell is I take what I call my pointer finger and press the doorbell. It turns out millennials press a doorbell with their thumbs. And on first blush, you'd think that's a little bit strange, but it turns out they have learned on a phone to do everything with their thumbs.
Right. Oh, that's interesting.
I see the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you think about the subtleties of that doing things on a phone has become so natural to them that's the way they press things with their thumbs. And we wouldn't have thought of that.
Right.
And that has to have an impact on how they search. And how they search has to have an impact on how we build websites and how we word things and how we just get to the facts, don't try to oversell them, but answer their questions and help them understand that you can solve it.
Right. So, I mean, from a content standpoint, for those that are, produce a high level of content and kind of millennials are their focus, I mean, should they have the strategy of, it needs to be, I know interactive content's big, but it needs to be kind of straight to the point, and, I mean, all media kind of with their content and stuff like that? Should they have a specific strategy if they're trying to reach that millennial demographic and get them to engage with it and kind of get that long-term relationship to keep them coming back for more? Should that kind of be their stance and their approach with their content marketing?
Well, I would.
Yeah.
One of the things that we're certainly interested in doing for our own content is to include more videos. We know that at least including images is more engaging. It almost doubles time on site.
Yeah.
And we benchmark that. I mean, you put out a blog post without an image, put out one with an image. The image always outperforms the one without the image.
Sure.
So a video is more engaging. I would think videos are going to be one of the major ad channels in the future, and I think that you certainly have to be there. I'm much more concerned about the fact that brands are losing power. And when I say that, when you think about a brand, the only reason we recognize brands is we stumbled over the brand name all the time. The example that comes to mind is fishing. If you want to catch fish, you use the bait the fish are biting, and you fish where the fish are. Otherwise, you don't catch any fish.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the problem we have with millennials. We have to use what they are consuming, which is video and engaging content, and we also have to go where they're going. It isn't just a YouTube issue, although that's where a lot of videos are played.
Mm-hmm.
But, they don't go necessarily to the same places we go to. And for us to assume that I'm going to attract a lot of millennials to my website because I'm using Facebook may not be accurate.
Yeah.
So it's a much bigger thing when we're talking about design. We're talking not just how do we lay out a web page, but where do we put it, and how do we promote it, and how do we try to make people aware that we are in fact a brand.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the industry know the name, Bruce Clay. They know about the site. They know it has 10,000 pages of content and is pretty much dead on, rich. A lot of integrated tools. But how would a millennial know? It isn't, unless you've grown up in the industry, if you just come in the industry today, brand new cold, you're not going to know to go to my website. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
And when you're starting to deal with millennials, now we have to think about, great, I have a brand for people who know my brand, but how do I brand for people who have no clue who I am?
Yeah.
And they don't go where everybody else historically has gone. And this is going to take some real deep thought. And again, coming back to futures research, one of the things I think we have to pay attention to is in that concept, we have to decide whether we want to be in business in 5 years or not. Because if a lot of our traffic is from search, and a lot of the people doing search aren't going to websites, they're going to video, our brand will erode. And we have got to solve that problem. Right. And the best way to solve it, of course, is to fish where the fish are.
Right.
So, it's just something we're going to have to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that it would be like, a good mix of both, obviously. I mean, you're not just marketing to millennials. I mean, you're going to have, Gen X and all that other stuff too,
Right. Well, that's one of the reasons SEO is also getting a little bit harder, not to say SEO is impossible, but when you try, let's back up. In the beginning, there were not a whole lot of personas, right?
Mm-hmm.
People would just come in and search, and they would type in their keywords, and they would find their results, and they would hunt and go to site A to site B to site C, and they would just keep hunting until they decided that was the product they wanted to buy, and then maybe they would buy it.
Correct.
And having done all that hunting and searching, there was more of a tendency and need to be brand loyal. Today, they go to social media and they ask their 10,000 friends that they've never met, what do you recommend?
Right.
Yeah.
And their 10,000 friends are happy to recommend things.
Right.
And then maybe they go to Google and search for product name reviews just to find out if their 10,000 friends have their act together. And then they go buy. So in the beginning, I just had to be there.
Right.
Now I not only have to be in Google search for the desktop, I have to be in Google search for mobile. And I have to be in social media where their friends are.
Right.
And I have to build my brand on multiple platforms. And I have to promote it over time to all groups.
Yeah.
And that makes SEO much more difficult.
Oh, absolutely.
It is getting more and more difficult, in my opinion. It's getting more and more difficult to build one website that caters to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, many websites just figure, well, I've got enough traffic today, I don't have to change my website. Not understanding that these other groups are coming up, right? They haven't become a force yet, but overnight they will.
Right.
It's like social media. Nobody was talking about social media 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Nobody was talking mobile 15 years ago. But now both of them are important to marketing.
Yeah.
And where are you going to, okay, 5 years. Where are you going to be in 5 years? Who's going to be buying from you? The people that knew you 5 years earlier, or the people that are out doing generic keyword searches hoping to find a good product?
Yeah.
I think brand loyalty will erode. I think that SEO has to cater to multiple platforms and multiple personas. I think that an intelligent SEO has to be looking 5 years out, at least 2 years out, but 5 years is better. And you have to understand across all this that you have to still stay in business with the people you have.
Correct.
So it isn't just one target. You have multiple platforms, multiple targets, multiple channels of marketing. And you still, come the end of the day, have to understand how to make it good. Because we have this layer in the middle called the search engines. And the search engines are today becoming sort of an advocate, maybe that's the wrong word, but an advocate for usability. Usability is probably another word for likability versus can they find you? You know, that usability is a strange word because it probably is a combination of several other words. But is it usable? Can people go to your site? Will they use your site? And which persona are we talking about? And how do you do that? And the search engines are in the middle, absolutely believing the future is mobile.
Yeah.
And whether they can believe the future is mobile, ultimately we have to follow them. And that's where advertising is going, and that's where pay-per-click is going, and that's where media is going, and that's where all the social mechanisms out there today are going. We either follow or 5 years from now we're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, one thing they really need to work on too is with mobile. I mean, I still don't think it's there yet, is the advertising side. It just, you know, to me, it's just, you know, now you're seeing ads in that places they shouldn't be, and like it's just not. It's not there yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Well, let's take, there's the technology is desktop with responsive, right?
Right.
But if somebody comes to my site, I need to retarget them.
Right.
Theoretically. The problem with retargeting is if they came to my site and purchased, I'm still going to follow them around for the next month. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
Right? And millennials hate that. Millennials seemingly don't want to be sold, they want to buy. And which makes total sense. Mm-hmm. I don't think any of us really want a hard sell. The used car salesman will never be able to sell to a millennial. But we need to build websites that still sell because not everybody's a millennial. And there's so many hats we have to wear. I think that we can get around a lot of this stuff with keywords, and we can get around a lot of this stuff with design, but we just need to make sure that as a marketing organization that we pay attention to how we're going to get in the face of the people that are going to buy from us.
Yeah.
How do we fish there?
Yeah, and there's a gray area there. You can't lose focus on the common goal of the site, right? So I mean, there's got to be that happy medium. You can't go over design versus optimization for conversions and all that stuff. They still have to be sold.
Well,
in a way.
And sold. Okay, so I have this two-edged sword problem.
Right.
So there are people out there that have websites, even in our industry, SEO websites, mm-hmm. where you go to the website and all it does is sell you. You cannot learn anything from that site at all. Then you have sites like ours where what we do is we train you on the website.
Yep.
We educate you on the website to the point where you recognize, oh my God, these guys know what they're doing, and none of the other sites gave me the information.
Exactly.
Essentially, what we do is we answer questions until they surrender. That's the sales end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And millennials prefer that, but none of the websites are doing it except a few of us.
Yeah.
And so at what point is it better to educate and answer and just be blunt and say, hey, this is the way it works, versus trying to do a frilly marketing, pretty website that is all fluff?
Right. So you're selling them without selling them.
Right.
So to speak.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, that's what our big. I mean, you do this show. I mean, this show educates,
yep.
right?
Yes.
People will listen to the show. But if all you did was sit here and try to sell people things, you'd have nobody.
Right.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, that's pretty straightforward. So why is it that a website that does nothing but sell is going to ever be successful? Why would Google rank you over somebody that gives away free information?
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of goes into the second question of the day. How do I see Google evolving, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's all about this. Google wants, let's back up, folks. Google's in the business of making money. And I respect that. I mean, I want Google to make money.
Yep.
From an SEO point of view, if it weren't for Google changing things 3 times a day, SEO would not be nearly as much fun.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, we're trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while the colors are changing.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, but Bruce, you got. I mean, you've seen it all. You've been through all the changes, and the one thing I have to say Google has done for SEOs yes, it's made our job harder, but it has defined the industry as far as, it's not just anybody can rank a site. It's, you got to know what you're doing. you know?
No, you do. And, in the beginning, Google was a little bit lax in really putting teeth in their rules.
Yeah.
Right? You could link spam. Now it's pretty hard. Let's just say it's hard, but you could. Google is actually enforcing their own rules a lot more than they ever used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that makes it so that to a lot of people it looks harder. To those of us that never did link spam, it's the same as always.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But because we have different personas and broader personas and different user groups and different platforms, we have to actually pay attention to, more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And by the way, the average customer is starting to think less that you're an SEO and thinking more that you're a digital marketer.
Well,
we can sign some sort of SEO agreement with somebody, but they'll ask us conversion questions.
Sure.
Or performance questions about, which almost A/B testing, or should I use this CMS versus that CMS, or this e-commerce versus that e-commerce. SEO is SEO kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really like, we've kind of thrown on a bunch of other hats as well as Google has changed and the search engines, the algorithms and stuff, because it's not just about ranking a site. I mean, you could drive traffic all day to a site, but if the site's not right, you're wasting your time,
Right.
So
you got to be well-rounded. I mean, all the way around.
Yeah.
But again, we'll go back to, you got to use the right bait and you got to fish where the fish are.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the persona matters, and the way you word things matter. And a lot of that is always been there. But as the search engines evolve and they monetize as much as they can, and they have to monetize more, we're going to run into multiple segments that are going to start appearing on the search results. I mean, for instance, right now, if I do a query and the query is the kind of a query that might imply I need a local result, like I should shoes. I search for shoes. Google may assume I need a local shoe store. Not necessarily Zappos, but I may need a local shoe store.
Yeah.
Right.
In which case, suddenly out of nowhere come all these local results. I search for a plumber. I'm probably not interested in an online plumber. Okay? And so the results that start showing up are really from a Google directory.
Yeah.
And now Google has to figure out how to monetize that. Because if their goal is to increase revenues, if they believe that pay-per-click on a desktop is diminishing and the click-through rate isn't as good on a mobile, they're going to be looking for other ways to monetize. And we should all remember, organic results, Google makes no money on those.
Right.
Organic is why people go to Google. Don't get me wrong, it's a necessary evil. There's a symbiotic relationship, but Google doesn't make money. They're giving us, through organic, free traffic. At least to them, it's free traffic, right? Our only obligation is to not cheat Google and earn it.
Yeah.
They'll give it to us if we deserve it.
Right.
And if we don't earn it, they'll penalize us and we won't get it. Right?
Right.
Take away the golden goose.
Yep.
And so to a great extent, the spammers have forced Google into a position where they have to defend their property, which I think is, by the way, a great thing.
Yeah.
I think that the Google results will always be getting better, and I think the spammers will be less successful, and we're okay.
Yeah.
Let them move forward. But we just need to remember as we go through this entire process, Google's in the business of making money. If they're going to throw up organic results, they have to be the best they can be. And our burden is usability and in being accepted by the audience of Google.
Right.
And if that audience is getting younger year over year, then we have to be able to solve that problem, or Google will wake up one morning and say, sorry, you're inappropriate for millennials. We're going to dump you down a couple of pages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that would be a problem for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. Those of you who are just tuning in, you're listening to Search Talk Live. With us today, our special guest is Bruce Clay. Search Talk Live is sponsored by the Robert Palmer family of companies. You can go to robertpalmercompanies.com. And if you want to call in with your questions, it's 855-722-0006, 855-722-0006, option 1. Go ahead, Bruce. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Anyhow, as I was saying, I think that what we're dealing with is sort of Google is a little bit in the middle. Their advertising money is made on the desktop, but they know that mobile is the future.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just quickly talk about the concept of the local results. Local results are really where a majority of the companies in the United States play. A vast majority of the companies in the U.S. and world, I think, sell within 25 miles of where they're at. A vast majority of their sales are local to them. They don't like buying ads that are national. They have to get in, they have to geo-target, they have to get it local. Their profits on a local will go up because they're not getting the clicks from outside of the region.
Right.
That means they're willing to pay more per click because it's a more targeted click.
Sure.
That means, in aggregate, for the same number of clicks nationwide, Google makes more money because most of those clicks can be local, which have a higher per click price.
Yep.
It makes total sense to do that.
Absolutely.
So here they are on a mobile device, which has a built-in GPS. The people that are locally advertising are going to make more money. The cost per ad will go up. The only thing that Google has to do is figure out how to have more clicks and conversions from those ads. Mobile doesn't convert as well, but the click patterns are similar to desktop. As a result, Google is in the position of trying to figure out what I can do on a mobile device that allows me to target appropriately with the message so that those people can convert. Because conversion is important to Google or people won't buy ads.
Right.
How do they get a higher conversion rate on mobile? And they know they need to do that. And that is part of it. So you have a video, I do not. Which will likely convert better on mobile?
I would have to say the video.
I would have to say the video
Mm-hmm.
as well. How many sites out there actually in a mobile world even play a video?
It's a great question.
I'm telling you, I don't think it's many.
No.
No.
I don't think it's nearly as many as people would want, which is why a lot of people just go to YouTube.
Yeah.
Who search there. YouTube is the second largest search property above, Bing and Yahoo. Folks, I think we ought to be paying attention to videos.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I know an instance where I had a plumbing issue at my house, and I actually did a how-to video on how to do the plumbing situation.
Yeah.
But I remembered that company, and it was a local company. And when I had another issue, guess who I called? So you're right on. Definitely.
Well, my approach to this is, if I have a plumbing issue, I'm going to go to the YouTube, pull up the plumbing issue, let it show me what I'm doing, then I call the plumber.
Mm-hmm.
because I know better than to play with water.
Yeah. Actually, you can make it worse before you can make it better.
Usually. Let's suppose I actually get the faucet off. The worst possible situation is I got it off and I can't get it back on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? Then I have a whole house with no water power, no showers, no dishes. No, that would be a problem for me. So
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in plumbers. If I were a plumber, I'd want, let's put up my video. Let's get my video ranked at the top, and let's make sure my phone number's on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty straightforward to me.
And they are more likely to trust that person because they sat there and watched you for 3 or
Right.
4 minutes doing a how-to video than they would the next person.
Right. Well, I think, we talked about brand loyalty is something that millennials don't really, that's not really something they kind of go towards. But is that, you think that's one way to kind of establish that loyalty is if you educate them, through that video, they see it, they're able to put that into action or, interact with that. That could be a better way of establishing that brand loyalty and that sense of authority.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And not to toot your horn, but going to bruceclay.com inc.com, there is a ton of videos. If you're in the industry of SEO,
Absolutely.
there is a ton of free stuff. Just how to be an SEO. You can, just Bruce, you've spent years and years refining that, and I think that's great because I've learned a lot from you.
I had a situation at a conference. I'm walking down the hallway. If you've ever been to a conference, the hallways are like 20 feet wide.
Yeah.
But I'm walking down the hallway, and a guy is at a table on the far side of it, and he says, Bruce Clay, come over here. I want to thank you. And I go over. Anytime anybody says that to me, they sort of get your attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I go over, and he says, I really, really want to thank you. You saved my life. And I'm going, okay, great. How? And he said, well, I got laid off from my job. And a friend of mine told me that his company was hiring an SEO. And I said, I don't know enough about SEO. And he said, well, they just need somebody to come in and start doing it. Why don't you go to bruceclay.com, read the whole website, and come in for an interview? So he did. He went in for the interview and got the job.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, it's an entry-level role. He was going to learn on the job. They knew where he was, but he knew the buzzwords. And they hired him.
Yeah.
And you know something? You go to most websites out there that are fluff. You can't do that.
No.
You can watch a ton of videos and not walk away with the information necessary to interview.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to actually have a site that has meat to it.
Yeah.
And you could do it. I think most sites, if they stay fluff, you're going to see people actually have to read books.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but it's where it's at right now.
Absolutely. Well, I understand. I believe I've seen this and heard you talk about it. Is y'all like to educate executives as well, where a person goes and does in-house SEO. It's hard to communicate to those upper level management and people kind of running the thing. They don't have that background, the knowledge, or understand the verbiage that comes along with the industry and what somebody maybe in-house is doing.
Right. I'll give a couple of examples if you guys don't mind me doing that.
No, please go ahead.
So we are associated with SMX as their SEO training company, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing it. This is our 4th year. We do it at all 3 U.S. conferences, plus we do it I train the course in all of the countries where we have offices. But with SMX, we do it in Italy as well. And we're thinking maybe, no promises, but maybe this summer in Paris. But we're associated with SMX. We'll have 50 people from every conference attending, 40 people, 50 people, whatever the room size permits, because I usually sell out. people will actually come. They'll take a one-day course on SEO. And at the end of the one-day course, which is an abbreviation of our regular course, they say things like, I just was at the conference for the whole week. I learned more in this one day than I did at any of those sessions.
Nice.
Because we tie it together.
Yeah.
One day is a long time for a lot of people. And we start at the basics and walk you through the whole thing. So no matter what level you're at, we catch up with you sometime during the day.
Nice.
And that's wonderful.
Yeah.
When we teach that course here in California, it's 4.5 days. It's 440 PowerPoint slides.
Wow.
You have homework. You
Accelerated.
have tools. There's labs. I mean, it's a really concentrated learning experience for SEO.
Yeah.
We do those same kinds of things on site at customer locations. We put up on our homepage, actually, you can see that we have a free video. I think it's there on my SEO page where we have a free video. It's 111 minutes, just an overview for executives for what all the buzzwords mean.
Nice.
You know? By the way, the hardest thing for an SEO, okay, so here's a big tip for the audience. One of the hardest things for SEO is to get people willing to implement the necessary changes.
Yep.
Yes.
You tell them what they need to do. They go, yay, we're marketing. We're going to get this down to IT. It goes down to IT and it just sits there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or marketing maybe doesn't understand it, so they don't know how to explain it, so they don't do anything about it. And many, many cases, we run into that. So one of the things that we started doing, 14 years ago, is every client of our company has to sit through at least a 3-day training program with us.
Nice.
And it's free. It's part of your project.
Yeah.
Okay? That means the customer at least understands what we're saying.
Yeah.
The second part of this, which is the big tip, is I think you understand SEO is good to do. Well, IT thinks that means it's optional. And as good as it is, hey, I can increase traffic 50%, right? That won't get on their radar nearly as well as we have a 1% failure using Safari when there's a full moon. That 1% failure will get fixed immediately, and your 50% traffic increase won't get implemented.
Yeah.
Right.
So what we do is when we go in and we start talking to people inside of the company, we say, we have a bug in our website that's giving 50% of our traffic to our competition. Fix this SEO bug.
Yeah.
It totally changes the perception of your IT department.
Yeah, that's something they can put into perspective when you put it in that context. You know, they're going to jump on it real quick.
So, and fundamentally, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
If I could increase your traffic, 50%, that is traffic your competition gets and you don't.
Yeah.
You're losing that because you didn't fix it.
Yeah.
And as soon as you explain things as this is a bug, fix it, and we'll get a 50% traffic increase, my God, of course.
Yep.
If you say, hi, we think we can get a 50% traffic increase if you guys will do this thing that's not on your project plan.
Done.
Good luck with that.
You're right.
Yeah, I would have to add to that, too. I mean, the other thing I would say that SEOs struggle with is setting expectations in the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, that being able to make them go through a course like that and learn that type of information, I mean, I can only imagine how much it improves communication, improves the expectations with each project, and what they can expect from that.
Yeah, the overall success.
Yeah, so our projects, are pretty much interactive, and we actually engage with the client team during the projects. It's a knowledge transfer experience. And so we operate on fewer hours, but the same amount of expertise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so when we give people projects, what we're really saying is, okay, this is it. This is why. This is how here. And their team implements.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if their team doesn't understand it, what we originally found out is every time you would do that, you'd be on the phone explaining to them every single reason you were going to do. And essentially, you're teaching them over the phone.
Yes.
Right? Whereas, get them in a room, have them drink the Kool-Aid.
You're right. Right.
Hey guys, this is what we do and this is why we do it.
Exactly.
Then what happens when you say, okay, this is what's wrong with the site. This is how you fix it. They go, okay, instead of why.
Yeah.
That means the project actually goes almost twice as fast. And, that's a lot.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And changing things like that is, I think, a good tip for everybody. Understand why you're doing it. Learn SEO at that level. If you have an SEO company that's guiding you, take it, understand it, then you can implement it.
Absolutely.
But don't just pile up a bunch of changes. One of the slides I use in the training is don't be surprised by the results you didn't get for the work you didn't do.
I like that.
Absolutely.
So, and that's absolutely free on your site, huh?
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Free information.
We give away enough information that an SEO company could do SEO off our website. They may have their favorite tools and they may have, their biases for the region, or, their skill set is not so programming or technical, but it's more of a content thing. But so what? It really is, at the end of the day, am I able to generate more traffic that converts than the competition?
Yeah.
Yep.
And, you learn it, you do it. There's plenty of tools. It was maybe 9 months ago, we entirely rewrote our tutorial. Our tutorial was 4,000 words.
Wow.
Seems like a lot. It was all on one page, interactive tools, all sorts of things. I decided we were going to paginate it and break it up because we wanted to add more tools. We wanted to add more content. And 4,000 was a lot of content.
Yeah.
So we broke it up. By the time we were done, we went from like 10 pages to 18 pages, I think, or 19 pages.
Mm-hmm.
We covered all sorts of things. We put interactive tools in it. Absolutely, it answered a lot of the questions about how to do SEO.
Yeah.
It is, I think it's ranked like number 5 for the term search engine optimization.
Yeah.
But number 1 is search engine land. 2 and 3 are Google. 4 is the Moz tutorial and us.
Nice.
We're the highest ranked services business under the term search engine optimization.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's got to help.
Yes, it helps. But the reason is we're giving away free information.
Right.
If we were a marketing fluff site, we'd never rank.
Yeah.
Not for that term.
Right.
But you do it. I'll guarantee you that whatever I have up today is going to be increasing significantly.
Yeah.
And we continue to give away free data. Our newsletter is stellar. It's still free. I mean, it's an amazing amount of content in the newsletter. We have our blog. It has a free subscription. And our website, as I said, is 9,000 pages. Free is our philosophy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, going back to the original topic, I think that's where millennials expect it to be.
Yeah.
they don't expect to pay for anything. They expect it to be given to them.
Yeah.
The internet is free, right?
Right.
And, they want information.
Yeah.
And you cannot brand, you cannot establish yourself as a subject matter expert unless you're willing to both invest and give it away.
Right. Well, Bruce, we got about 10 minutes left in the show. I'd like to go over kind of, if someone's going to SMX and they're going to take your training program, what can they expect?
A wonderful experience.
Okay. Okay. No, I mean, do you cover,
great.
yeah, right. Do you cover keyword research? Do you cover link building? Do you cover, what does the course cover?
Okay. So we we don't really cover tools. That's one of the strange parts about our course versus everything else.
Mm-hmm.
We are sort of the philosophy of teach a man to fish, not give him a fish.
Right.
We teach you why this is how search works.
Mm-hmm.
We teach you why this is what you have to do to your website. So there's other courses out there, and what they do is they, like within 15 minutes, they're saying, okay, start this tool, push this button, get this data, good luck. There's a difference between data and wisdom.
Yes.
And what we try to do is we try to teach you why to do certain SEO things, much more so than the how to do a specific SEO thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, so at the end of the day, the course, what we do is our tools, our power tools.
Mm-hmm.
They're designed for slice and dice and complex assessments of websites and whole websites. We have Spider and everything. Whole websites, multi-page comparisons of your competition, slice and dice of your own. Where am I not using, or where am I using, and how am I using keywords, and how are they related? Right down to a topographical analysis of your web page.
Gotcha.
We have a lot of very detailed tools. They're basically $3 a day. They're $89 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody taking the course gets that $89 a month tool set for 1 year.
Wow.
And the cost of the course at SMX is, I think, $1,095,
Mm-hmm.
which is sort of their average. Well, that's $1,095 just in tools.
Yeah.
Right? So if you want, what we actually have are people that in a city every year, they just come back and take the training because they get another year of tools,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
which is really kind of cool.
Right.
But to go to the specifics, we teach you everything from this is a search result page and how it works
Okay.
to this is the tags on the page to this is how you attract competent quality inbound links.
Nice.
We don't teach, and by the way, we have never run a link campaign really for our own site.
Right.
We do things like press releases occasionally if there's something worth announcing. Or if we have a new tool, we'll announce it. We'll talk about it in social media. That's about the most we do.
Yeah.
We don't need pay-per-click at all. So we do those kinds of things to get the word out. We've never run a link development program.
Mm-hmm.
And our website, according to Search Console, only has 2 million inbound links.
Wow.
And that, yeah, I know.
I can't even fathom that.
And what it is, we publish things, and every time we publish it, we get 50 more links.
Yeah.
You publish things for 20 years, you're going to get some links.
Right.
And that's fundamentally the way it works. I mean, January of this year was our 20th year in business.
Wow.
That's 3 years older than Google. And if you guys remember back 20 years ago, that's when Al Gore invented the internet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was a while back.
Yeah.
And so we, over all this time, have attracted competent links from industry notables.
Yeah.
And what we really found, by the way, what we really found is being on the desktop was great, but we'd have 10% of those links.
Yeah.
And then along comes social media, and all of a sudden it goes up like 80% a year, and it just keeps compounding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you do a blog that's competent, you have a newsletter that's competent, you do like you guys are doing, you do a radio show, you're engaging your user community, and you get links from this.
Yeah.
And so we never ever teach people how to go out and beg for links.
Right.
Because begging for links is really not the right way to do it. You earn them.
Yeah.
And so that's our link approach, and it has always worked. Fortunately, we've always had that approach. We've never had anybody penalized yet. So
Nice.
And I don't expect to.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to mention, Bruce, about 5 minutes in, but I just got a tweet from Bruce Clay Inc., one of your cohorts, said if the listeners want to get go to SMX, they can get 10% off of passes and workshop.
Right.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I would take advantage of that for sure.
Yeah. And I'll tweet that to whoever wants information on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's easy. That is. See, fortunately, we were actually the very first sponsor, first sponsor of the very first SMX, and we've been a sponsor ever since.
Nice.
So we have a booth, we're a sponsor, we do the training, we speak, and so people know who we are because of the sponsorship as well. But we've always been a big fan of SMX, and we get to offer discounts and things like that. So that works out well.
Yeah,
very cool.
It's probably pretty nice to hobnob with the other SEO pros in the industry. That's pretty awesome.
It's kind of cool. As you guys probably know, we do all internet marketing. So we do SEO, PPC, content, social media. Because we need it ourselves, we do it for clients as well. Mm-hmm. We brought in David Satella as VP of pay-per-click.
Yep.
He's well-known speaker, etc.
Mm-hmm.
We are the company that just hired Dwayne Forrester.
Nice.
And for those of you in the industry that know Dwayne or don't, he was the spokesperson for Bing for years.
Yeah.
And he works for us as our vice president of organic.
Wow, that's awesome. We're down to about 2 minutes. We're running out of time.
Go for it.
But I want to thank you so much for being on the show.
Absolutely.
And if you need any teachers to go to Italy, just let us know. We can help you out. Just kidding.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for being on the show. Hope maybe you'll come back sometime. You have a lot to talk about. I can sit here and talk hours with you.
Yep. We learned a lot. I know our audience learned a lot. So we definitely appreciate your time and sharing your knowledge and being with us today.
Happy to do it.
All right. Thank you, Bruce.
Thanks again, Bruce.
Tune in next Tuesday. Tune in next Tuesday at 3:30. We have John Mueller from Google.
Yes.
Who's going to be here. And I'm sure there is a ton of questions out there for people that want to know some Google stuff.
And
what's going on.
If you didn't catch today's full show, make sure you go to searchtalklive.com. Check it out. You can always see past shows from today and previous, but make sure you see the full thing.
Yeah. Again, the number here, if you come in next week or listen in next week, you can call in at 855-722-0006. Go to searchtalklive.com and listen to past episodes. I'll be tweeting out this one here shortly.
At searchtalklive.com.
Thanks, everyone, for your support. Bye-bye. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Search Talk Live is a presentation of the Robert Palmer family of companies.